Hello viewers, welcome to my channel PCGO Kimberlite, a source of diamonds. Today we are going to see a topic from paleontology, SYBSc as per the UGC. From the paleontology, introduction, condition for fossilization, taxonomy, branches and importance or scope of fossils. I am Dr. Sajid Ondekar, Associate Professor and Head, Department of Geology, Anjuman Khairul Islam's Pune College of Arts, Science and Commerce, Camp, Pune. Yes, paleontology. What we are going to see this particular topic. We have been divided into these categories. Introduction first we are going to see, then condition of fossilization, taxonomy, that is the binomial nomenclature, then branches, importance or scope of fossils, then in the end we'll have a conclusion or discussion will be there. Yes, in the introduction, what we have the paleontology. Paleo means past, onto is life, and logy is a science. So here, simple if you make these three words, paleo, onto, and logy, past life science. A branch of science deal with the study of the past life. Yes, it is a branch of geology deal with the past life. So that will be the simple definition of the paleontology. But now I can see the definition, the spelling also paleontology, Paleontolong. So Pale, so paleontology. This is one spelling. Similar one, there will be the another spelling is there, Paleontology. So this paleontology or paleontology. This is the two spellings are there. So we are going to make out, and this is a systematic study of life. It is the systematic study of life of the geological past. So whatever we have the past, whatever we are going to get the fossils, these in the past maybe 100 years, 200 years, or 1,000 years, or million years, or 100 million years. So whatever the life which has been sustained, so if you make a systematic, a scientific study of this life of the geological past, which involves the analysis of plants and animals. So here we have the plants and animal fossils, including those microscopic size as well as megascopic size which have been preserved in the rocks. So paleontology, what we are going to make out, it is the study of the history of the life on the earth as based on the fossils. Fossils, what are the fossils? Fossils is the simple organic remains of the past life. Whatever the animals, plants or animals which are living in the past, and these organisms are preserved in a rock, in the sedimentary rock, then these are called as the fossils. So now if you make the systematic definition, fossils are the remains of plants and animals, fungi, bacteria, and single cell living things that have been replaced by rock material or impression of organisms preserved in a rock. So that's what we have, the fossils we call. The paleontology involves what the paleontology is involved. It involves science. So here we are going to study the science, art, and imagination. So here we require imagination because we want to study the million years back the whatever the life. 1 million means 10 lakh. So you can see now our life is just hardly average. We have the 60 years. Now here, when you're going to study this particular the past life, then you have to have your imagination, science, art, and imagination. It inspired the curiosity about the ancient life and how the modern world has been evolved. So we can study them. The paleontology is the important to geobiology. Now here the two words are there, geology and biology. So here we have the combined geobiology, and it is an interdisciplinary bridge between the geology and botany. So in these two fields, that is the paleontology which is there, the geobiology is there, that will be involved the geologists as well as the biologists. Even with the newer techniques, whatever the new techniques which have been there, the basics of looking at the fossils have remained constant for the centuries. So whatever we have been studying in the past also, those scientists who have done the research on the fossils, and they have been given the various records on the fossil. We, as today also, we are doing the same thing. In fact, some dismiss the paleontology as a dead science. Yes, some of them say that the paleontology is a dead science because simple observations that are the backbone of paleontology are not seen as creditable as a test you do in a laboratory. Those who are doing in the chemistry test in the laboratory or model made by the advanced machine learning. So here we don't, paleontologists are not going to do it. They do the simple observation. That is the backbone of the paleontology. Now, there are the certain questions. Everyone knows what is a fossil, yes? How do you define the term? That also we have seen. We will define it mean any evidence for the existence of prehistoric life. What is difficult to define in this definition is what is meant by prehistoric. A good place to learn more about fossils and fossilization is the Digital Atlas of Ancient Life. So here we have the Digital Atlas is there. So we can start right from the recent to, if you go down to the get the fossils, we can get what we have the museum. Fossilization is the process that preserves the evidence of life in Earth's rock record. Fossilization will be there in the rock itself, and the rock will be giving you that evidence of that there is the existence of life is there in the past record. The evidence of the past life is called as a fossil. The word fossil is derived from the Latin fossilis, means something dug up. So now here I try to make out a thing to make the simplify at what we have the living things which are there, living population or communities are there. Now these organisms are dead, dies, the parts are shaped. Now there will be two things that will be taken. One, there is no deposition. So what is happening? There is a decomposition. Nothing has been preserved. The next one, once it is dead, it has been buried by the sediment. So there we have the process which are there. Two processes have been taken place. One, there is a preservation has taken place, and second one, there will be a decomposition. So again, there will be the two things. One, preservation, we can get a good fossil. Second one, there is a decomposition. There will be chance to have the decomposition. From the preservation, exam will be there, and from there collected and the fossil will be lost, destroyed or sold. It will be there. The similar one, purest for the study. Whatever we have get the fossil, collected the fossil, we can study the fossil, what we are going to make out. And whatever the fossils which are exposed on the surface, it will be eroded. So this is what we have. The stories of what. So on this basis, what we have a scanty records of the fossils, and whatever the geological timescale we have been prepared on the scanty records of fossils and rock. And radiometric dating we have done wherever rock don't have any fossil, we are making the dating, radiometric dating we have done. And wherever we get a fossil, we can make the dating of that rock, and we have been made a geological timescale. That will be there. During the Middle Ages, the term fossil, yes, in the Ages, the term fossil will be used for any substance recovered from Earth, including the rocks and minerals, will be called as a fossil. So today, the use of fossil is limited to the record of ancient life. Paleontologists use the term taphonomy, and this is the word taphos, that is a Greek word, and the meaning is burial and or grave, and nomos means the rules or laws to describe all the events that has happened to the remains of the organism between the time that is dies and the time that has been buried. Means whichever the say example from here last 10 years back, somebody some organism is dead, it is deposited. So that from that time it has been deposited, and whatever the time has lived, so from there the next 10 years whatever there is there. So after the buried, that will be time. So the remains of the organism between the time that it is dies, how much time it has taken, so how many life he has been span is there on the surface of the earth, and how much time he has taken after the deposition. So that will be the very crucial for the that particular part. Many events can impact remains between these two events. For example, remain may be scavenged, broken, or transported long distance before it will be buried. So that may happen. And the study of how organisms or their parts become fossil is the study of how organisms or their parts become fossils is called as taxonomy. Yes, taxonomy is will be there. So that taxonomy is a branch which deals with the study of how organisms or their parts become fossils. Taxonomy is literally everything that happened to the organism or a part of an organism from the moment that it dies or it stayed until it collected and curated for scientific study. Once we collected the fossil in the field and we have been bring out to the lab, clean it out, and once we separate out, we make a display. So up to that level, whatever this will be there, that is the taxonomy. Fossil preservation can be takes place at number of levels. Each level contain a different type of information. Exploring the process of a fossilization from a taxonomic perspective allows placement of individual fossil into a wider concept. So exploring the process of fossilization from the taxonomic perspective allow the placement of individual fossil into a wider concept. Consequently, researchers restructure, yes, or reconstruct. Instead of restructure, he reconstruct not only the morphology of the organism, but under the right condition, their behavior, life history, and paleo environment as well. So here, whatever the paleontologists, the researchers are there, once they get the fossil, they are going to study the morphology of that particular part, then what are the right condition for fossilization, what will be the behavior, and what is the life history, and what will be the failure environmental condition at the time of its deposition. So that will be studied by the paleontologists. Recently, paleontologists have embraced the virtual world and use computer aided visualization. Now we have a lot of new techniques has been developed, and we are going to have the computer aided visualization is there to look at the three-dimensional structure of the fossil. So we can have the three-dimensional structure of the fossil. From this, they can better look at the fossil's internal structure. So we can, with the various angles, we can find out the details. Much like when your doctor need to look at your organs in detail. Yes, when you have any problem in your body, you can go to the doctor, consult him. Then he say that go for MRI, then X-ray, CT scan, and after that you will be see that, and he will say that you have this problem. Similar one, paleontologists now use computed tomography. This is called as computed tomography, that is CT, with multiple X-ray scans to look through a fossil. So that advanced technique has been developed into this branch. Now the next what we have, the second point which is there, that is the conditions for fossilization. What are the conditions are there for fossilization? The basic two important conditions are there for fossilization. First one, that plants or animals should have the hard part. Whether if the animal is there, it should be have the hard part like in the form of bones. If it is a plant is there, then in the form of tissues, xylem and phloem. These are there. So very strong tissues are there. So it should have hard parts like bones or tissues. That is one condition. Second one, as soon as the animal is dead, it has to be immediately buried by the sediments. Yes, it has to be deposited by the sediments. The organism should be rapidly buried to avoid damage by scavengers. Otherwise, if it is open and exposed to the surface, then scavengers will come out and they will take out the bones, whatever the things which are there in that particular animal, they take out. Or weathering agents like water, wind, and the fluctuation temperature also affects on that particular. So there should be two important condition for fossilization, hard part, and second one, rapidly buried. To get a good fossil, because we have a very scanty record is there. Whatever the scanty record is there, 0.001, that is the percentage we have, and still we don't have the record, scanty record. On the basis of that, we have been prepared our geological timescale. The process of formation of fossils, that is conversion of plants, animals, or their parts into fossil is called as fossilization. The plant fossil usually preserved in sedimentary rocks. The animal also deposited in the sedimentary rock. Fossils are preserved only in sedimentary rock. We don't find the fossils in igneous or metamorphic rock. We'll see that why this is there. So sedimentary rocks are the secondary rocks. They have been formed in the normal environment. So erosion, that is the first weathering will be there, mechanical weathering, chemical weathering, then there will be transportation. That is the erosion will be there. And that is the erosion cycle is there, that is denudation. It comes under transportation. After transportation, there is a deposition. And after the deposition, there is a compaction. After the compaction, we are going to get the secondary rock. So all these are normal environment which has taken place. Anything has been engulfed at the time of deposition, whether plant or animal is dead, it is deposited. There might be a chance to get a fossilization. But in case of igneous rock, if the magma come on the surface, minimum temperature will be 1000-degree temperature, depending upon from which level it has come out. Yes, if it is coming from 30 kilometers down, then 1 kilometer down, if you go 30-degree temperature to rise, that is the geothermal gradient we have. So with this, you can calculate roughly we can get the 900, and there will be depending upon what rocks are there, what will be the composition, what it contains, whether a radioactive element, what will be the pressure, overburden is there. So all that will be going to count. So we roughly say it will be a 1000-degree temperature. So if any plant or organism is come in contact, it will be totally burn out. So there will be no chance to get a fossil. So we don't have a fossil in igneous rock. Similar one, the pre-existing rock, whether it is igneous or sedimentary rock, they will be subsided, and heat, pressure, and chemical active fluid act on that particular pre-existing rock. Molecule by molecule, there is a recrystallization. And so due to this metamorphic rock also, we don't have any fossil. So whatever the fossil which are there, they are there in the sediment. So that is the characters of the sedimentary rock. In nature, there are abundant places where sedimentary rock do not contain any fossil. That we'll see why this is, we are not going to get the fossil in a particular sedimentary rock. Why we could not get? So there will be some conditions are there. If that conditions are fulfilled to get a good fossil, that will be indicates the very important one. The process of fossilization requires certain special condition, and if these conditions are not existing, fossil will not be formed. So what is that conditions are there? There are the four important conditions. The first one, hard part we already done. Second one, there is a rapid burial that we have already done. So these two process has to be there. Then the next what we are going to have, that the fossilization is much more common in marine environment as compared to the terrestrial environment, because there is a continuous deposition is there in the marine condition. But in the case of on the land continent, there will be deposition, at the same time there will be erosion. So due to that, we have a less chances of fossilization is there on the continent, but there are the more chances will be there on the marine environment. So that is the difference between, but in the continent, fluidized sediments which are there, they are in the soil, we are going to get the fossil. Yes, the factor controlling good fossils preservation is the animal or plants must have first one mechanical strength. Whatever the hard part is there, it should have the mechanical strength. Once it is deposited by the sediments, the bacteria will be attack on that particular hard part, and at that moment, it is the mechanical strength is very strong. Then the no effect will be taken place, and it is intact. Similar one, nature, that is the what we have the nature of the exoskeleton, the mechanical strength and the nature of the exoskeleton. Second one, chemical composition. Sometimes that hard part come in contact with the water. So the water already contains dissolved NaCl, which is dissolved. So it is become the organic. So hard part comes in contact with the organic water. So there will be chemical reaction has taken place. If that particular hard part could not sustain that chemical reaction, then what is happening? There will be a started decomposition, and the whole material will be dissolved. So there is no chance to get a fossil. So mechanical strength, of that hard part or exoskeleton is there required. Second one, chemical composition of the hard part is required. And third, very, very important, habitat. If you are searching a fossil in a one particular area, but in that area, million years there is no habitat, no life is there, no water is there, then how we can get the fossil in that area? So habitat is a very, very, that's why we are going to get the more fossil in the oceans or marine condition, because there is the plants, animal is there. As soon as they dead, they settle down, and the rivers carries billions of load and they will dump into the ocean. So there will be continuously deposition process is there in the marine condition, and at a deeper level, finer material which is dissolved in the water precipitate and settle down. So there will be the good deposition, and in sequence they have been deposited. So habitat is a very, very important one. And the last one, the nature of the sediment. If whatever the material which is deposited, if that material size is a coarse, they say one molecule is dissolved, but now grain size is a bigger one, 2 mm is there, so it is not replaced. Again one molecule is dissolved, but again it is not replaced. So what is happening? The internal as well as external characters will not be preserved. But molecule by molecule, there is an exchange is there. Say one molecule, say Nautilus is there, which contain calcium carbonate. One molecule is dissolved from the surrounding sediment. One molecule is replaced. Silica will be replaced. So slowly, the whole original composition, what we have about the test, Nautilus shell is there, that will be completely transformed into silica. So silicification or petrification. So that will be taken place on the basis of the grain size, because the grain size is very minute, and molecule by molecule there is the replacement. So internal as well as external characters are being formed, and now whatever the fossil is there, it is look like as a rock. The petrification has done. So mechanical strength, then the chemical strength, habitat, and the burial sediments. If these conditions which are there, factors are there, if they are fulfilled, then there will be a good quality of fossil we are going to get on. Geologists characterize habitat where burial occurs as a depositional environment. So that is very important. Depositional environment almost always basin depression on the earth surface. Basin can be ranged from very small, like a pothole on a road, to medium size, that is a lake, or to global scale, that is the Pacific Ocean basins. Steps in general fossilization process. How the stepwise the fossilization has taken place. The stages of fossil formation are the same regardless of the organism being fossilized. The circumstances under which the life is ended and the environment in which the preservation of its legacy unfold. The first, any soft tissue that was present in the life, it will get decays, because once it has been deposited, bacteria come out and the soft fleshy material will be first decomposed, leaving behind the hard part, bony part, teeth, shells, and these usually happen very quickly as a result of the bacterial action. Next, these hard parts may be moved such as by rivers or broken, because erosion will be there on the continent, but in the oceans there will no only the deposition is there, but there is a deposition. It is a very rare for the entire fossilized skeleton is especially one of the large animal to be found. Very rare case. And what we are going to get into, we'll see, and the uh, types or modes of preservation. The whole mammoth has been preserved in the Alaska, where the temperature is on the minus. That is around the age which is with the dated of that mammoth is around 23,000 years. So that is there. So we have in the umber, yes, in the resin of umber, we are going to get the small insects also, the small from there or insects, all these have been preserved. That we will see in the subsequent videos. Even when animal die, it is initially preserved, and entirely gradual or sudden shift in the earth crust can be sufficient to separate the parts by considerable distance. So that may happen into the stepwise the fossilization. In the last, the most important step in the process, that hard tissues having been buried become physically altered. So molecule, there will be replacement. Alteration has been started, and it will take a long time. It is not been done in a 1 day or 10 years or 100 years. It will take a time, depending upon the what will be the surrounding environment is there, what type of rock is there, the deposit sediment is there. So everything will depend on that. Usually, this means that the original material is replaced by the similar material or some other material. For example, as hard as bone are, the mineral they can gradually decay, and but in the case of fossil, these are replaced by minerals and assume the same size and the shape, thanks to the limitation of whatever the material sediment has been encased the fossils. These leaves behind a cast of original that for all the intent and purpose is an ideal representation of the original material. Yes. Next topic is taxonomy, binomial nomenclature. What is the taxonomy? Taxonomy sounds like a big word. It is like a big word, but it is just the term used to describe scientists classify things, which we have been doing throughout this lab manual, rock and mineral. The classification of fossil is one of the meeting points between geology and biology. In taxonomy, binomial nomenclature, that is two-term naming system, also called binomial nomenclature, two-name naming system, or binary nomenclature. It is the formal system of naming the species of living things by giving each a name composed of two parts, both of which use Latin grammatical forms, although they can be based on the words from the languages. Such a name is called as binomial name, which may be shortened to just binomial, as binomen, or binomial name, or scientific name, or more informally, it is also called as a Latin name. The first part of the name is the generic name, identifies the genus to which the species belongs. While the second part, the second word which is associated with that, the specific name or specific epithet, identify the species within the genus. For example, the modern humans, so everyone knows the modern humans belonging to the genus Homo, and within this genus to the species Homo sapiens. Tyrannosaurus rex is probably the most widely known binomial. The applications of the binomial nomenclature is now governed by various internationally agreed codes of the rules, of which two most important are: number one, International Code of Zoological Nomenclature. The first one, where the animals are studied, that is the International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, ICZN, for animals. And the second one, the International Code of Nomenclature for algae, fungi, and plants is called as ICNAFP. ICNAFP. So we have International Code of Zoological Nomenclature, that is ICZN for animals, and the second one is that International Code of Nomenclature for algae, fungi, and plant, that called as ICNAFP. Although the generic principles undergoing binomial nomenclature are common to these two codes, there are some differences, both in terminology they use and in their particular rule. In modern uses, the first letter of the generic name is always capital. Yes, in the modern uses, the first letter is always a capital one in the writing, while that of the specific epithet is not, even when derived from a proper noun such as the name of a person or a place. Similarly, both parts are italicized in normal text or underlined in handwriting. Thus, the binomial name of the annual profox, named as botanist Thomas Drummond, is now being written as Phlox drummondi. Often, after a species name is introduced in a text, the generic name is abbreviated to the first letter in subsequent mention. that is P. dot Drumonodi. That this is the way they have been made. Now, in taxonomy, what we are going to make out, we are going to have the systematic classification. So the major ranks, what we are going to write down in the classification: kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species. So here we are giving you one example. That is, kingdom is Animalia, phylum is Chordata, class is Mammalia, order is Carnivora, and family is Felidae, and genus is Panthera, and the species is Panthera pardus. So this is the what we have. This is the way we are making a systematic nomenclature, binomial nomenclature or taxonomy. The next one, the branches of paleontology. Paleontology is a very rich field and imbued with a long and interesting past and even more intriguing, interesting and hopeful features. So here what we have, the paleontologists are playing a vital role. Now this is the 21st century and we know this is what we have. The age will be there, communication. And for that communication we require oil and natural gas. So here paleontology is playing a vital role in finding out a horizon where we have the foraminiferas, and these foraminiferas are particularly age is tertiary. So maximum oil in natural gas we are going to found is the tertiary one. So we are going to look for a tertiary rock where foraminifera and osteropods they are there. So they are playing a vital role. Many people think pedology is study of fossil. In fact, pedology is much more. Pedology is traditionally divided into various sub-disciplines. So these are the various branches which are there that are will be specifically, if you make out the branch dealing with megafossils, then micropaleontology, the paleontology, and other branches. Come to the megapaleontology, we have vertebrate paleontology, invertebrate paleontology. Similar in paleobotany also, we have the cryptogamia and phanerogamia, and then we have monocotyledon, dicotyledon. So this is the what we have. The classification is there. That group will be there. So I have not given in the lower side, but there will be on the lower side. Similar one, micropaleontology. Those with your own eyes, we could not see the microfossil. They will be written under the heading micropaleontology. Now they are divided into microzoology, that is micropaleozoology, micropaleobotany, and palynology. So, say example, micropaleozoology will be divided into vertebrates and invertebrates. Similarly, the micropaleobotany also divided into cryptogamia, phanerogamia. Similar one, palynology, pollens and spore we can study in that. Then the next one, paleontology. Then other branches, paleoecology, paleoclimatology, paleobiogeography, paleogeochemistry, aquastic, paleontology, nanotechnology, the taphonology, then phanatology, macrology, biostromy, then paleopathology, molecular and paleontology. So these are the various branch will be there, and now certain branches have been specially taken micropaleontology. So study generally microscopic fossils, then mega with your own eyes you can see and hold in the hand. The ichnofossils, the branch paleontology deals with the track, trail, burrowing. These have been preserved. They are there. Then micropaleontology, vertebrates, invertebrates. Similar one, micropaleobotany, cryptogamy, phanerogamy. Then in megapaleozoology, vertebrates, invertebrates, megapaleobotany, cryptogamia, zoic. That is the I made this word from geology answer. That is the cryptogamia. Then phanerogamia. Then micropaleontology, micropaleozoology, micropaleontology, nanofossils, then mega paleontology, mega paleozoology, mega paleobotany. So these are the branches we already seen now. These are the what we have the definitions. Come to the last part. What is the importance or scope of fossils? This is a very important one. Where we are going to use this fossil. So I am here divided these particular uses of scopes on the basis of first one geology, then the next one stratigraphy, then we'll have the biology. So in this category, I have divided these particular parts. So let's see that first use synthesizes of paleontological information. Whatever we get the data of fossils, we got it from the surface, wherever we are collecting the sample. We arrange them in a proper order, in a chronological order, and that will give you unfolds the history of the earth. Yes, the ages and geological timescale we have been prepared on this tool, rock as well as the fossil. Rocks and fossil have intimate relation. Therefore, presumably the geological age of the fossil is the geological age of the rock. Whichever the rock contains the fossil, what is the age of the fossil? Immediately we will give the age to that rock. Characters of the plants and animal of different environment are often distinctive. Thus, they enable identification of the environment. So, they will give you the each environment they have been living and they have been dead. The presence of vertebrates and plant fossils indicate terrestrial environment. Marine environments are indicated by presence of corals, brachiopods, nautilus, and radiolarians. The study of fossil help in reconstruction of depositional environment. In which particular environment that particular fossil has been deposited, we can reconstruct that. Fossil assemblages are used to recognizing the different types of faces. Fossils are also used in determining the bathymetry. So what is the bathymetry? That we can make out the levels, what level in the ocean we have been going to measure. So depth, the measurement of the depth of the water in ocean, seas or lake. When we are going to, with the help of the fossil, we can make out, that is called as bathymetry. Comparison of study with their modern counterparts with the help of estimating the depth of the sedimentary basin is also under study. The shallow water and deep water should have their own characteristic fossil group of assemblages. Here we are giving you a best example, foraminifera. You know everyone, foraminifera. This is what we have. The foraminifera in this one genus is there, globogerinoids, which are commonly found in upper 50 meters of the water, and the global rotalia indicates the deep water. So these are there. So with this we can make out the study of the shallow water and deep water. Fossils are also used in taxonomical studies, without which it is rather difficult to understand various aspects of the ancient events and conditions of death of the animals, so that we can make out the changes and alteration. Yes, very important. Changes and alteration in the buried dead bodies before the diagenesis of the sediments, that is called as necrology, a branch which is going to show you the changes and alteration with the buried dead bodies before the diagenesis. That will be carefully determined with the help of the fossils. Thanatology, which deals with the causes of death and later consequences on the organism. Biostatinommy, which deals with the mode of death and burial of vertebrates, especially their mass death owing to severe weather. Say example, we have the dinosaurs extinct, so that will be making that particular category. The microfossils, especially foraminifers, are sensitive to the environment. Therefore, they are considered as paleothermometers. By using oxygen isotopes of the shell and test on can interpret the paleoclimatic fluctuations. So whatever the paleoclimatic fluctuations are there, with the help of the oxygen isotopes of the shell, we can study. Fossils play a vital role in reconstructing the paleogeographical models, and we can prepare the maps. Without the fossil, paleoecological interpretations are not possible. With this fossil, we can make out the paleo-environmental, paleo-ecological condition, paleo-environmental condition. So fossil play a vital role in restructuring paleogeographic models and maps. There will be a spelling mistake, double repetition as there. Fossils indicate the marine environment, therefore they use in dissipating the transgression and regression. Yes, what is the transgression and regression? That ocean and land, yes, continent and oceans. If the oceans are temporarily encroach the water, and some part of the land will be deposited or covered by the water, at that time there will be a marine deposition has taken place over a continent. Then this is called as a transgression, and that is for a shorter duration. And there is a regression. If the this is normal, say high tide condition. In a low tide, what is happening? The water goes back and there will be exposure of marine beds. And now, whatever the material which is carried out, it will dump into that continent. So, marine will be deposited by continent, and that is for temporary period. That is called as a regression phase. That also, with the help of fossil, we can make out the conditions. Fossil study help in recording the sea level fluctuation, paleoshore lines, that will be with the help of the fossils. Where the rocks are overthrust or complexly folded, the correct order or normal deposition or order of superposition can be established by the fossils. How the beds are been folded, overthrust, then with the help of the fossil we can make out the correct order of superposition, and we can with the help of the fossil we can make out. It has been noted that certain modern plants are indicative of some economically important minerals deposit. These plants are called as botanical indicators. And the last in the geology, fossils are used as an important tool in the construction of geological timescale. Without the fossil, we could not construct this one. Rocks and fossil, they are the two important tools for the geological timescale. Now the next one, uses of fossil in stratigraphy. Yes, fossils are invariably used for dating the sediments. Microfossil whose range is short and show wide geographical distribution. They have the 24 hours. Yes, some microfossils are there. They live for 24 hours. So, and they are geographically, they have the wide distribution in there. These particular fossils we call as index fossils. Such fossils whose position and occurrence is persistent in different area taken as a marker. So we take them as a marker, and on the basis of that we can correlate the older and younger, and the two different lithologs we can compare. On the basis of the index fossil, make them as a marker. Many fossils regarded as zone fossils, on the basis of which biostratigraphic zone can be recognized. Fossils are also used to define various datum lines. One of the most important functions of the fossil in stratigraphy is correlation of the geographically separate rock. For example, one rock we have been taken, or a rock stratigraphy of 1 kilometer borehole we are taken from Delhi, and one sample we are taken from Kerala. Now, this correlation, when you are going to make out with the help of the fossils, we can make out whether they are having any correlation. With the help of the fossil, we can make it. So that will be the very important one. Fossils are also used in inter as well as intra-basal correlation. By using oxygen and carbon isotopes, chemostratigraphy has been adapted. Stratification in sedimentary rock is controlled by biological factors and can be studied with the help of the fossils. And the last one, uses of fossils in biology. To study the organic evolution. Yes, take a horse evolution, elephant evolution, mammal evolution. So if you want to study, or what we have, the monkey. So these are the common one. Horse will be added in some of the syllabus of the UGC. So these are the evolution when you are going to make out, that is the organic evolution. Study of taxonomy, that is classification. Study of morphology, the physical parts which are there. To study the functional morphology, to study the mode of life, to study the phonogeny and ontogeny, and to study geographical distribution of the ancient animals, how they have been survived. So whatever we have seen, all the lists which are there, we have been mentioned here or quote here. Just I'll revise in short. Geology, to study historical geology, estimate geological age of rock, to find environment of deposition, to reconstruct depositional history, to reconstruct paleobiophases, to estimate depth of the sea, to estimate paleogeology temperatures, to estimate paleoclimates, to visualize paleobiogeography, to draw paleogeographic maps, used in paleopathological studies, used in taphonomy, used in thanatology, used in necrology, used in biostratonomy, to study paleotectonic activity, to fix paleo lines, to find interruption in the sediments, to establish correct order of superposition in the folded rocks, used as indicators of some minerals deposits and used in construction of geological timescale. Now in stratigraphy, to determine relative ages of the rock, used as a marker, used as a zone fossil, used as an index fossil, used establishment of biostratigraphy, high resolution biostratigraphic map we have prepared, table we will prepare, used to establish chemostratigraphy, used to relocate unconformities, ITERs, to study biologically controlled stratification. And the last one, the biology, is the uses of fossil in biology. To study organic evolution, to study phylogeny and ontogeny of organisms, to study ancient modes of life, to study adaptive morphology, to study functional morphology, to study geographical distribution of the ancient one. And the last one will be there in exploration of oil and gas. So that's the what we have, the topic which has been covered. That introduction we have seen, condition of fossilization, and in that how to control a good quality fossil, that four conditions. Then taxonomy, that is the biological nomenclature we have seen, the branches we have seen, and the importance or scope of biology. I hope this will be the clear, and this is the first unit of SYBSc paleontology. And this is a revised syllabus. I hope this is clear. Enjoy. And already I uploaded the topics on mollusca, lamellibranch, brachiopod, lamellibranch, then gastropods, cephalopods, brachiopods, then trilobites, echinodermatas. On this, we have already uploaded my videos. You can go and check on my channel TC Geo Kimberlite. Next subsequent, you can going to see the next one video will be there on types or modes of preservation of fossil. Then individual again in the lab, I'm going to with the fossil, I'm going to again repeat the same one, lamellibranch, then gastropods, cephalopods. Then the next one we have brachiopods. Then the next one I will have the trilobites. Then we have the echinodermata. So these again I am going to repeat and upload. I hope this will clear. If you have any doubts, you can write section, you can write down, and whatever the description is there, this description is already given in the notes are given in the description. And similar one, you can go and visit and see my all videos which are there for FY BSc practical. Some theory I already started for FY, SY also, and now slowly I am going to start the SY BSc paper, geotectonics, which is there this year for SY and this year for the PY BSc. So for both it will be a common. So I will going to shortly I will have these videos, and there will be a lot of comments I going to get to prepare the videos. So that also I preparing the PPTs, and I will try to shoot as early as possible. Thank you. Have a nice day.